Well, I will try my best, Jared. All right, I'm ready to go if you are ready to go, good sir.
I mean, I'm going on all fronts. I would say I am ready.
That is what she said, Jared. Or maybe that's what he said. I'm not really sure.
Yeah, that's what she said when she left me. And I haven't seen her since.
That's why I'm at the bar, Jared. You know,
I'm going on all fronts. Bye.
Right. There is one song you could play for me, though. DJ Chart. Hello and welcome to the Untranslatable Podcast. We are here recording episode 200, the big 2002 day, and we are going to be talking about what we have taken for granted during the pre-corona times. BC, as I've heard some memers say online, before corona. So we're going to talk about some things we miss and some things we definitely took for granted. When things were quote-unquote normal a few months ago and how much that has changed. So stay tuned if you're feeling like taking a nice, smooth stroll down nostalgia lane with Chad and Jared today at the Untranslatable Podcast. We're going to be talking about some things we miss and how those things may also look potentially in the future. So stay tuned. And without further ado, my partner in crime, sadly not coming to you from the same bar as I am, but coming from the Untranslatable studio straight out of Ferndale, my buddy Jared. What is going on, Jared?
Hello. I do miss coming live and direct with you. One of my favorite things is coming to your house, recording a podcast, eating your food, and then leaving. And
likewise, buddy. Likewise.
But, you know, the fun still goes on. You know, this is no different for us. And still, you know, you can spread a little love. Follow us on Instagram, Untranslatable Podcast. You can follow us on Twitter, Untranslatable1, the number 1. I'm trying to be more active on Twitter. You know, whenever I have something I want to say, there's always things I think like, oh, that would be a great tweet. But back when I just had my own Twitter, I'm like a personal one. I'm like, I mean, who cares? No one cares what I have to say.
Unless you're famous or say some crazy shit, no one really cares.
Exactly. Yep. And so I didn't do it. And I had one I was going to do yesterday, but I decided against it. It seemed stupid and too wordy. I was going to do something about how the first week back from quarantine is going to be by far my flyest week on record. Right up until I have to do laundry, then it's out the window.
That's fair. That's fair.
You can also give us 5-star reviews. You know, it's the 200th episode. Literally, the least you could do is nothing. Second least you could do is listen. The third least you could do, it's a little effort. But it's not that hard. It's just scroll down, you know, write some nice things or give us a 5-star review on iTunes and Stitcher. That'd be great. And then we'll say
Spasiba.
Because we're polite.
That's right, Jared.
That's Russian for thank you.
Well, Jared, I got some news to start off today's episode. A couple little things I want to talk about. One thing that I saw online the other day that I thought was surprising, concerning a little bit, but maybe also in an odd way, a little hopeful as well. I don't know if you've seen this, but Oxford has announced that they are doing all of their big lectures online until the summer of 2021.
So they're not even doing next school year in person, is what you're saying?
That is what I've read. However, I think for certain classes and certain, like, as they call them,
like
tutorials
or something,
there will be in-person stuff like that, I believe. But the reason why I say I think this could be also potentially a good thing is teachers and administrations can start to plan for the future. Because I think this idea of just staying in limbo and not knowing will we be back in campus, sooner or later, you know, we're in mid-May right now. The school year is going to start in a few months. And teachers need to be given time to, you know, plan and prepare for next semester. And keep in mind, too, if they do go back in person, which we'll see what happens, I think there's going to have to be a lot of logistic changes there as well. So it's interesting. I think that it's probably a smart move. And I think it's probably easier to go from saying we are going to move all of our classes online and then reevaluate than saying the opposite. We're going to do it all in person and then move them online, because we've seen how that's happened now, and it hasn't been great.
It's a big decision just to be like, F it, we'll come back in person next summer, you know? It's like, we'll see you in a year and a half, essentially. Not essentially, almost exactly. and oh no, almost a year.
A year.
Mm-hmm. I don't know what I'm thinking, but like that's a tough decision to make, but it's definitely, if you make the decision, it's easier to just do all of it at once than be like, oh,
Right.
we'll see in a month, we'll see in 2 weeks, we'll see in 2 weeks,
Right.
we'll come back, and then it pops back up again, and we got to close up again, which is even more of a headache to deal with.
Right. And that could
I'll say this, though.
very well happen too.
Oh, for sure, especially here in the U.S. I mean, I know you're talking about a school in England, but
Right.
there's a lot of colleges in Florida alone.
Right.
So who knows? Though, it does suck for the students.
Oh,
I know
sure.
college is about getting an education and learning.
There's
and
a lot of social
getting
aspects
a job,
to it, though, for sure.
But we all know that it's fun for the most part. It's pretty fun. It's like, you
should
meet
be,
a bunch
yeah.
of new people, especially, I don't know. I was going to say, especially if you're like a freshman, but I'd actually say it's probably worse if you're like, if you've already been there for a bit and you're like, I got to go back and live with my parents after I know what the good life is like.
Right. Well,
Yeah.
Jared, you're talking to a guy who had his own beautiful 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom apartment. Love my parents to death, and I'm
Yeah.
not trying to sound ungrateful here, but it's definitely a big adjustment going from that to back with your parents. So I can completely empathize with these college students,
You betcha.
100%. But I think that's good news though, because I think there are so many people, myself included, right now in the education industry, in academia, that are kind of in limbo right now. They don't know. Will they be in person next semester? Will they even have a job next semester? A lot of places are doing freezing hires. I feel like if a university takes a stance and says, okay, we're going to be offering online classes, that also allows the university and the admin to decide, okay, we can offer this many courses. We can, and then they can either hire or unfortunately fire if they have to.
Right, but they know how much staff they need
Exactly.
for the next, to plan until summer of 2021
Right.
now, rather than
Right.
start. You start with all the people. You have to fire some. You have to hire. Being invariable. It makes sense.
Yeah.
It's sad. Like it's not sad. That's a hard decision though. Whoever
time.
has to make that decision, that's a big decision, because there's
Right.
almost definitely a financial impact. To not having boarding and all that stuff, and food
Right.
services and all the other
think of
businesses
all
they have
those
on
jobs
campus.
associated. Yeah, exactly. With all that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but
It's a big decision. It's a tough one.
yeah.
But I think it's a good one.
I don't think we're going to see a lot of schools in the U.S. make that decision.
Unfortunately not.
Have you been getting all the emails from our school? Like, hey, in these unprecedented times, don't forget about us if you got some spare change laying around.
I delete those. First thing I do.
Me too.
I will gladly donate once my debt has been paid off and I'm making some serious money. But right now I'm kind of in between things and still have a
I'll
lot
do
of
you
debt.
one better.
So
I screen essentially most 517 calls I get at this point, because first of all,
nice.
I'm like, who do I know in 517 other than
Right.
my college? And
Right.
if they're calling me, they're not calling me to give me an award. That's
Nope.
probably not
Nope.
happening.
who knows though? The Innovative Brit Pod Award to
Oh my
Jared
gosh.
Miner. You never know.
Yeah.
You never know. You do some
There's a
great
huge
work
space
here,
to
Jared,
fill in
that's for
iTunes
sure.
now that Joe Rogan's gone.
That's right. Good point. Very good point. Another thing I wanted to mention too, Jared, that I think is kind of funny news. I sent this to you a few days ago, so I think you'll remember. But and this is a little teaser for what we're talking about today. Is what we miss, what we took for granted before the pandemic. I think a big thing is watching sports in person. And
sure.
there's kind of a funny story that happened in Seoul, South Korea. A pro soccer team, the pro soccer team FC Seoul, has apologized after filling their stands with, now they look like mannequins. Some people say they're sex dolls. I'm not really sure. You can make your own assumptions. You can just Google FC Seoul apologizes after filling stands with sex dolls. You'll find out what we're talking about. But I just thought this was so hilarious that,
Why are they apologizing? They did it.
Right. Well, that's the funny thing.
They thought people
Right.
wouldn't notice.
Right.
It's like, why do all these dolls have holes for mouths? Or
Right.
people. Why all these humans have holes for mouths?
Right. Yeah, it's ridiculous. But I've seen also pictures of South Korean baseball games where they don't have dolls, but they have like a banner that looks like fans. It's really interesting to
Yeah.
see, Jared.
Well, that's also even pre-pandemic. That's why a lot of stadiums have like different colored seats, so it doesn't, because if it's one color, it's clearer that no one's there.
Right.
Now I understand like why they do the colored seat thing. You know, if the place isn't full, it doesn't look as empty on TV or whatever. But the thing is about like these fake audiences. Who are they? Like, first of all, you're not fooling anyone. We know, no one's there,
right?
And also, and it's like, why?
I think it's for the players.
For the players,
a little bit.
I feel like these are professional athletes we're talking about. They can't handle no audience. That it's gonna fuck them up that much.
I think they can, but I think they're. I don't know, man. Maybe. I don't know.
I think it adds I think it's for us. I think they think we're idiots, and I think for the most part they're probably right.
A lot of us are, myself included.
You betcha. They're probably right, but I'll say this: I saw the soccer games last weekend, and I heard about the UFC fights that happened, and I think the no audience thing adds a cool element to it. I think
it does.
What I've heard from other people talking about the UFC fights, and what I've heard from me watching the soccer games is, as I mentioned last time, I liked hearing that. Actually hearing them talk.
Right.
You never realized how loud some of their contact was until there was no audience.
Man,
like,
some of those kicks and punches in UFC have got to be, sounds like a train wreck. Yeah.
And you can hear them, and you can hear them maybe like
shit talk a little bit,
like not sighing, but going like ugh.
Grunting,
like that kind of stuff. Yeah, grunting. Thank you. Sighing. This is boring. You call that a punch?
Right.
I love that stuff, and it's like, we know no one's there. Like, just embrace it. But I think there is something. I think they're not afraid, but I think it's like a TV thing. They're like, let's give these idiots brains the idea that there's actually a game happening behind us.
Right.
Or not a game, an audience happening here. And it's like, we're not idiots, but I get it. I guess we are idiots.
We might be.
Sex dolls make sense, though. I mean, because they're not zooming in on. Well, maybe they were. Why did we figure it out?
Well, in Korea they claimed that they were not sex dolls but mannequins. So that's.
But then they apologized. He said.
Right, because I think people thought they were sex dolls, and I mean,
so they apologized for the misunderstanding.
I guess.
Listen, these people, they're such prudes. I hate to say it, but who cares?
Right. I guarantee you there's been some sporting event in Las Vegas where there are sex dolls in the audience. I guarantee you.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure people bring them for fun.
Right. Or definitely a wrestling match for sure. Wrestling match without a doubt.
Doing moves on them.
Right.
Watch me double suplex this sex doll off the rails in the parking lot of the stadium
after you shotgun 4 Coors Lights. That's
but
right.
I mean, I kind of understand. I still think it's foolish if they actually were sex dolls and they're apologizing for it. But I think it's even more ridiculous if they're apologizing for a misunderstanding and what they were. It's like, these are mannequins.
Right.
It's not our fault that you guys.
Yeah, you guys need to get your minds out of the gutter. Yeah, exactly.
You see a doll, and the first thing you think is, that's for sex.
Right. That's true. That is true. Well, Jared, I think that we should.
Yeah. Spread a little love. Yeah, let's do it.
And I have a couple shout outs. My first one, I think if you have listened to our podcast, you would know. No, Jared just edits it. You would know that we are fans, or at least I'm definitely a fan of New Zealand and their prime minister. And their prime minister has said that they might try to do 4-day working weeks as a way to rebuild New Zealand after COVID-19. Which I think is a really interesting idea. We've talked about 4-day work weeks on the podcast before with Microsoft Japan allowing their employees to do 4-day work weeks. I think this is a really fantastic idea. I think it'll be interesting to see if they do it and how it affects their market and everything else. But
do you know what they're? Do you know what they're? I mean, I love the idea of working less, so I'm already I'm good with that. Do you know what their? I mean, it's not working less. I'm sure they is, but do you know what their thought process was behind how that would help spark the economy?
Yeah, a couple different reasons. Number one, if you have a 4-day work week, you have a 3-day weekend, meaning you have a lot more time to go travel. You have an entire extra. Technically, you have a night and a day and a night,
or just not even travel, just spend in general to just have
right. But it looks like New Zealand's been hit kind of hard because a lot of their economy comes from tourism. So they're hoping this will encourage domestic tourism throughout New Zealand while the borders are still closed. And I think that's really smart. Mm-hmm.
And we've talked a lot about that in my household about places we could go in Michigan.
Right,
there's lots of them. Still be, and it's definitely possible. I feel like there are like rentable houses where you can get into the place without without contact, and still work. But just have a different change of pace. Or other than the Ferndale neighborhood. We haven't done anything yet because still a little hesitant. Oh, by the way, dude. We'll talk about it later. There's no reason for me to bring this up now. Let's talk about this. Actually, we have we'll talk about it later. But I got a whole thing. I got a.
Sounds good. All right. I'm curious. I'm very curious. I have one more shout out though, and my shout out goes out to the state of Indiana. I don't have the best history with Indiana. Long story short, I was pulled over there years and years and years ago, and the cop said I was evading arrest, which was not true. Paid the $300 and something ticket way back then. It's off my record now because this was so long ago. But anyways, I've not the best relationship with Indiana because of that. But this is fantastic, and I have to give them a lot of respect, a lot of love right now because in Indiana, Jared, they have recognized every teacher this year as the Teacher of the Year. So usually in Indiana and in many states, they vote for the Teacher of the Year. And this year they have more than 65,000 Teachers of the Year, which I think is fantastic. I think, this entire pandemic and everything has brought so many new challenges and other things for teachers to deal with. And they had to change, immediately. It wasn't like they were given a week or 2 weeks to plan stuff. It was just like, all right, schools are closed. You're going to do this stuff online. And I think the way teachers have responded has just been fantastic. I
agree with you. And Indiana was hit pretty hard. They've been locked down for I think one of the longer lockdown states in the U.S. Does the Teacher of the Year recipient get anything like some sort of reward?
I'm trying to look right now and I don't see anything here.
I'm gonna be honest with you. If it's just if it's just like a good job and they send you, I don't know, some certificate in the mail. I don't know. I still feel like there is some merit to somehow finding the teacher.
I mean, it would be nice to give them some money or something as well.
Exactly. Because it's like, okay.
I agree.
Because if you're not giving some sort of useful reward for this, I would say there's still something to finding the Teacher of the Year, the teacher that stood out in spite of this. Yeah, sure. A lot of teachers did. Most of the teachers did adapt very well, but I would still be like, okay, so no one wins, and there's no. Right. Well, we're all just gonna pat each other on the back. I don't know. I think it's stupid. I'm sorry.
Fine, Jared. I'm not gonna ask you to pat me on the back in the future.
I understand what they're doing. I get it. I get it. And obviously, I wish there was a way that like a lot of these essential workers in general could be properly recognized.
Right. I agree with you there, Jared.
Then I think if you recognize all of them, you're recognizing none of them, essentially. You're just saying, good job, teachers.
Right. Yeah, that's a good point, Jared. Very good point.
It's been a rough day. I've been in a pretty bad mood today. I'm going to be honest with you.
Well, hopefully we can talk about it a little bit during the main segment, Jared.
I blame you for bringing up this topic idea. You make me think about everything that's been good in my life up until now. No, right? I'm kidding.
Well, you know what is still good in your life, Jared?
The untranslatables have never failed me.
That's for sure.
They've always been there for me. It's actually funny because my first one is pretty aggressive. But it's not bad.
You're going to start it.
It's not bad, but it is sort of like it's kind of... So it's Greek, and it's kopsophlevika. Kopsophlevika. And it literally means vein cutters. I know.
Vein cutters. Is it just a slang term for a knife?
No. No. It's not that literal. It's way less literal than that. So think about it's a
vein cutters.
Think about something that people that are cutting their veins. How would you describe these people?
Depressed, sad.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And
is it like a crybaby?
No, but you're no. But it does. So when you
give up too easily,
when you're depressed or sad, you might seek out a certain type of. And this is not terrible. This is not a bad thing, by the way. So I'm not talking about drugs or something. But
I
you
was
might
just
seek
about
out
to say drugs, so it's a good thing you said that.
Well, that's where Chad's mind. If anything goes wrong, no, I'm kidding. But
I mean, I am at the bar, Jared.
That's true.
If you see us on YouTube, Untranslatable Podcast on YouTube, wallowing in my sorrows here, Jared.
It's like another thing that people seek out besides for drugs and alcohol might be something to cope with said sadness or depression.
They cut themselves.
Okay, I'll give it to you. Oh, some people. Okay, so we. Oh, okay. One of my. It's a super sad song. That's what it is.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. A super sad song. Okay, I like that. All right.
Yeah. I'm just kidding. I'm trying to improve my my clue giving skills because I'm weak, Chad. I'm weak. I don't know what's happening.
It's okay, Jared. I'll try to help you out if I can. All right, Jared. My first one for you is Taiwanese. And they have a similar one actually in Mandarin as well. This one is, as I said, Taiwanese. It is, and I don't have the tone marks, so I could be butchering these tones. So don't judge me too bad, people, especially our native Taiwanese speakers who are listening right now. Chit hun chit,
slipping on gator
ning
piss.
hung ning, which means 1 is 1 and 2 is 2, Jared. 1 is 1 and 2 is 2.
It's obvious.
I would say not obvious, but I would
it's
say
like it's as expected, or everything goes as planned.
Yeah, we say yeah. Okay, I would say it's straightforward or it's easy.
Oh, okay.
I was thinking of easy peasy lemon squeezy was on my mind.
No, you're right. You I don't know why I just gave myself that. You were right to be. You were definitely right to be hesitant on that. Sometimes I just like that ham horn.
It's a fun feeling, Jared.
It's funny. I've been telling you that I've been feeling down today. Well, I'd said it once, and this is that
ham
takes
horn.
care
There
of
you
a lot
go.
of it right there.
That's right.
My next one is Thai, and it is Pidtong Lang Pra. And it's putting a gold leaf on the back of the Buddha image.
Putting a gold leaf on the back of the Buddha image?
Yep. No, I'll say this. Mm-hmm. Putting gold leaves onto or statue, I guess it could be as well.
Okay.
Because putting it back onto the back of an image doesn't really make any sense. I guess it kind of does.
Is it like to get dollied up, make something pretty, get dolled up?
To put a gold leaf. Now, listen one more time when I say the untranslatable, and I'm going to help you with this one. We're going to get this. Putting a gold leaf on the back of the Buddha statue. So, and like literally the back. And so it's, the thing about putting the gold leaf on the Buddha statue is that there is a ceremony in a lot of Buddhist cultures where you apply gold leaves to Buddha to honor his teaching. Mm-hmm. So it's like a ceremonial thing.
Okay.
So that is.
But why do you put it on the back of the statue?
That's what I'm asking you, Chad. I know the answer.
You put it on
why
the
would
back
you?
Of the...
So
you want to be humble. You want to be humble. Boom! All right.
That's exactly what it is.
That
it's doing something
humble.
without
the
seeking
way
attention.
We responded was not humble, but yeah.
Woo, you're a winner,
right?
Yes, you're the best.
Yeah,
everyone, look at Chad. He did it.
Yeah, Americans, we are not the greatest at that. That's for sure. All right. I'm going to end our untranslatables today unless you have more, Jared, with one that is Hindi. And this one is Gar ki murgi dal barabar, and it means poultry is equal to lentils.
It's like everything has its purpose.
Nope.
So
Nope.
Oh.
Nope. So I'll give you an
If
example,
you're starving,
Jared.
food is food.
Yes.
Beggars can't be choosers.
I'll give it to you. What it basically is, Jared, is being inappreciative of what you have.
Okay.
Not appreciating what you have, which I think is something that we definitely can talk about here today on today's episode.
Probably.
That's for sure.
Yeah. How far into this thing are we, Chad? Is what I'm trying to think. March, probably like 2 months.
2 months.
A little over 2 months.
At least 8 weeks, probably. Yeah, 8 weeks into the lockdown, somewhere around there.
I'll definitely say I've fallen into a routine, and I've definitely learned a lot.
Is that a
about
good
myself.
or a bad thing?
I mean, I like routine. But also I wish there are things I wish I could improve about my routine.
Like what?
You know, well, let's say this. I learned that I'm like this is definitely a great time to learn about yourself. Where it's like,
For
no,
sure.
okay, I'm definitely lazy. I'm not too busy.
Right.
It's like,
It was
That's
never
good to
about
know.
the amount of time. Yeah.
yeah, okay, that's good to know.
Right.
And so like things like exercise where at the beginning I was pretty good. I've gotten sort of fallen out of habit with it. You know, practicing piano. I never got into a great routine, but at the beginning of it, you know, like I did try to make a point to get more into it. And it is interesting because I think at the beginning of the quarantine, I feel like once you sort of have that panic moment where you feel like everything's going away, you start to think about, one, how you can occupy yourself, but then two, like what is important to me. And I'm like, oh man, you know, piano is important. Now's a great time. Or there's no reason for me not to be exercising more. Now I have nothing but time. And it's
Right.
like, oh no, I'm just lazy. Good to know.
Right.
But I still wish, I still do, not wish, I'm still working on fighting that because, first of all, this is not over. And I'm still young.
Not by any means,
regardless
yeah.
of the pandemic. I'm still young.
You young whippersnapper, Jared.
Yeah. But yeah, I've definitely learned a lot about myself. I'm trying to think. Let's go back and forth because I did no preparation for any of this. So I'm just
okay. We can talk it out today, Jared. I didn't do much either.
So I just want to this is episode 200.
Right.
Great time to reflect.
Ain't
in
our
general.
first rodeo. Ain't our 199th rodeo either, people. That's for sure.
Exactly. But yeah, so what okay, let's start with your I almost swore for no reason. Let's start with
Watch out, Jared. Watch out. Calm down.
Let's start with your
It's
background.
heated today.
Because you've been on this background kick, a virtual background kick, and I love it.
It's been great.
I love it. And today you are in a bar, a very classy looking bar.
I'm a classy gent, you know, gotta keep it classy here at the Untranslatable Podcast, Jared. Yeah, and the reason why I am at a bar today is I think that's one of the things that a lot of people are complaining about not being able to do right now, and things a lot of people miss. I miss them as well. Just being able to be social, you know, and yes, we are very lucky that we can so easily contact our friends and family via the umpteen bajillion different ways we can, you know, social media, cell phones, email, carrier pigeon, Hogwarts owl, you know, the list goes on.
Flares. I use flares a lot.
Flares are good as well.
But I'm American. I like guns.
Right,
you know?
right. So I think that's a big thing too. Just the idea of being able to go and sit down and have a drink with people. And
do you? So like bars is an interesting one though because you know, I guess I never thought about bars, but I guess I do miss bars. Like, but I don't know if I miss bars per se, but more restaurants. I feel like I miss restaurants more than bars.
Sure.
So like I don't maybe and also maybe I don't think I go to bars as much, you know, and as I get older. No, I'm kidding. But I don't think I go to bars as much a lot because of just where I live, you know. It's just not kind of more of a hassle when you live in when you're not in a place like Philly or something like that.
Right.
But I feel like I miss restaurants more than bars. I find myself getting into like speaking of routines, one of the routines I've gotten into is definitely a food routine. I have the same things that I go to, and I just it's hard for me to get out of that cycle. You know, I did say that I wanted to cook, like I didn't say, but I can't cook. But the thing is, when I don't go to the grocery store as often as I used to go to the grocery store like not every day, but like every other day at least. And it would be easier for me to be like, what do I want to eat for dinner today? And then go get it at the grocery store. But now it like takes planning, and you got to think about not only what do I want to eat, but what keeps well. What can I like? So you know, what vegetables keep well specifically? How am I going to get these different things? And I've just found myself falling into a food habit, and I miss restaurants. I miss eating different foods. And I remember the last time I went to a restaurant in Chicago, right as this thing was starting. That was the weekend, right before I started working from home. We were planning on going to a concert that got canceled. We went to a restaurant there, and it was so weird. Like, it felt so ominous. Yeah. Because they had like these sort of social distance things where they tried to move us out. But like as the restaurant started filling up, it's like this place is still like overflowing.
Yeah.
And it was weird because like I really wanted to like cherish that meal. I was like, oh, this is the last one. Really enjoy it. But there was like this paranoia running through me.
My last one was with you in Ferndale. With you and those friends
we went to,
from
Imperial.
high school. Yeah. Yeah. So I know the feeling, Jared. I'm trying to remember now my last meal at a restaurant in Beijing. Obviously in Bali I ate at, some different restaurants, but I know the feeling, man. And I get that people are frustrated. I completely get it, but we need to be patient. I think a lot of people are getting stir crazy. I know it's been a while. I know there's also a lot of places that may not be able to recover from this financially, and that's a shame. But at the same time, it doesn't, in my opinion, doesn't really matter whether or not it's open if you're dead. If you're dead, you're not going to be able to enjoy it.
Sure.
I know it's a little dark and ominous, but
I did not see that coming.
Right.
So we're talking about things that we maybe took for granted. Let's think about some bars or restaurants that you're like, man, I really miss this place now that I can't go to it. I can think of the one for me is Anita's Kitchen.
Okay.
It's a like a Mediterranean restaurant.
Ooh, that's good stuff.
And it's like the local spot. It's in walking distance from me. At the beginning of this, and they do like delivery and stuff. But at the beginning of this, they were still doing that. But for the past month or so, even maybe they haven't even been doing that. They've just been closed. I don't think they're closed for good. I don't think. I think they're just like waiting it out. But I haven't even it hasn't even been open for this entire thing essentially. Right. So I definitely took for granted. That was right the first time. It just sounded weird when I said the word properly. Took for granted the ability to walk to a local spot that is also like one of my favorite spots in town.
Yeah. Well, and I think just the idea of going out to eat, not having any worries, being able to enjoy your conversation, and the interesting thing is, Jared, I've seen a lot of videos and had some text messages from friends in China, and although yes, the restaurants are still opening up and things are getting back to quote unquote normal over there, I would say that a lot of it's still, for a lot of Americans, if they saw what was happening over there, they wouldn't comply. Like in China, for example, you get your temperature read before you go into any restaurant or even before you go to pick up coffee. That's number one. Number two, you need to have on your cell phone basically a proof, a bill of good health, basically saying you've gotten tested, you don't have the virus, and then you also have to wear a mask. And I can't imagine Americans complying with all of that.
Of course not. Of course not. That's it's a. By the way, I want to get back to some bars or restaurants you miss out on and you miss, but yeah, of course we wouldn't comply to that. We're very selfish people here in the United States.
It's too bad.
I mean, you saw that You saw that video with that guy at Costco the other day?
No, sorry. What happened?
You didn't see that?
What happened?
There was this dude at Costco. So, what state was it in? It doesn't really matter what state it was in because
I'm bummed it was at Costco and not at Walmart. Can I just say that?
Well, this guy seems like a great contestant for Walmart. And he probably will be welcome there after. Let's see. Okay, I don't even know where this is. But the guy. So anyway, if I put it up on my other phone, I could have actually played it for us. But anyway, so this guy was at Costco, and one of the employees came up to him and is like, "Sir, I'm gonna have to ask you to leave. Excuse me, sir. I'm gonna." Well, the point where it came into the video, he was asking him to leave because he was refusing to put on a mask, and the Costco has a you must wear a mask policy, and he pulled out his cell phone and said, "Wait, I want to get this for." He's like, "For my followers. I have 3,000 followers, and I want them to hear this."
Oh,
and he's like, and the guy's like, "Hello, my name's Tyson. I work for Costco. I'm asking this guy to leave because he's not wearing a mask, and it's Costco's policy that all shoppers wear a mask." He just straight up said that into the camera. He's like, "You're impeding on my rights as an American." He's like, "I'm not. You're welcome to shop here. We just wait, like you just have to wear a mask." He's like, "I don't have to wear a mask," and then he was trying to say that everyone else in here, like literally everyone else in here, is wearing a mask. So, with that property, I'm safe because they're all wearing masks. He's like, that's not the point. And then his like significant other, wife, girlfriend, whatever, he like was panning around with his camera. She was next to him, looking embarrassed as hell. Obviously,
I believe
she had a
it.
mask on.
Oh God, the stupidity of these people.
And then later he came onto the he made another video trying to explain himself, and he's like, no, the thing is, it's impeding on my rights. I shouldn't have to wear one.
It's not stupid.
And then he was trying to explain the logic of everyone else in there wearing a mask, and it's him being the only one not. So with that property, everyone's okay, including him. And it's like, I love how you're the one that can. And he's like, it's not even that I'm the one that can.
Why
that
are
can
you
get away
the
with
chosen one, man? Yeah, why?
Well, no, he just doesn't like. You just can't impede on my rights. I have the right not to wear one.
You also have the right to get your ass out of that
exactly.
Costco.
Like Costco is not a public place. It's like it's a privately owned company. They can tell you to leave.
Right. Oh man.
But yeah,
that's so crazy.
I'll say this, and the reason I bring that up is because I think it's always useful to remind myself where I live. I think people, I get so sick, and this is, I guess I'm kind of talking to you too, of people that look so positively upon Americans and like, oh, this is such a great place. Oh, we're such a resilient and everything's. And it's like, look at what's happening in our society right now.
Yep. We have a lot of problems. A lot of problems.
Meanwhile, black people are getting like people are nervous that they're robbing stores because they have masks on, and people are scared are refusing to wear masks. People are going to filled beaches, looking like idiots, being interviewed, let alone being interviewed to be like, oh, it's whatever. It's like, why would you say these things in front of a camera, even if you believe it? Like, I would be like, I feel like I'll just keep this to myself.
and I hate to say this, but I think there is a reason, unfortunately, why we have some of the highest numbers of cases in the world. I think that's.
I think a lot of people are also okay with that. I think that's part of it. That's part of the deal. We're free, and that's part of the risk of being free.
I guess I don't know. Yeah, if you would have,
I'm not saying I agree with that.
If you would have told me though, Jared, in January or December when when this was happening in China, if you would have told me that we would have over 1 million cases by May and over 80,000 dead, I would have been like, no, you're crazy.
I'll just stay in China. No,
right?
Probably not a good idea either. But yeah.
It's I don't know, but I think there's a lot of even small things too that I missed and I took for granted before the pandemic. But I'll give you a couple restaurants because I know we went on a tangent and you wanted to know. There's tons of them from like Beijing and in Jinan that I miss while I was still in China. Here in Michigan though, there's really only two places that I really, really miss around here. The Dexter Pub, which is an amazing local restaurant. I've gotten takeout from them, like curbside pickup a few times, but it's just not the same as getting a really good draft beer in there and their food.
And then and the food, like food never is never the same when you get takeout.
Right.
There's in that packaging and on that drive, it loses some of the properties that make it inherently delicious.
Right. Yeah.
And that's unfortunate, but these are the sacrifices we have to make.
Right. And they are worthy sacrifices. You know, I don't want anyone to think we are
I'm just joking.
Complaining. I mean, things obviously could be better, but I think today it's also sometimes good to vent about some of the things you miss, some of the things you took for granted, so you can appreciate them more when you can enjoy them again. And I think at some point we will be able to enjoy some of these things. One thing I really think that I took for granted, Jared, and I wish I would have done this much, much sooner, like immediately when I got back, was just spend more time with my friends. I only saw a few of my friends when I got back, you know, and we can say why and we can sit here, but at the end of the day, I mean, the thing I miss probably the most is just being able to see my friends and hang out with my friends, you included. Yeah,
I agree with you. I mean, 100% I agree with you. That one's, I mean, yeah. I have another one for you.
Okay.
I agree with you. I have nothing to add to that. That's 100% true.
Mm-hmm.
Something I definitely took for granted because I guess there's something to taking the friends for. I think that they definitely we take our friends and family in general for granted. You know. And I think even the best of people sort of get comfortable knowing that, yeah, maybe I don't reach out to this person enough, but, you know, they're still there. You know, they're still my friend. I'm not going to... But it's like, yeah, but that stuff still does take work. Unfortunately, you know, I take a lot of... I probably take that for granted, too, and I probably still am, so...
Right.
Something I took for granted, and I think I'm going to make a point not to take it for granted after this ends, is my own neighborhood. I never, I mean, obviously I knew like the main street, the main areas. I knew how to get to downtown and what was happening there. But like, there's so much of my neighborhood that I never even paid attention to or realized just because or never even seen. Just because I just, I'm, you know, I haven't, if I explore, my thought is like, ooh, I want to go to Detroit, or ooh, I'm going to go hang out with Chad in Ann Arbor or something like that. But it's like, oh yeah, now that I've walked just about every street in the city of Ferndale,
right.
I'm like, oh, this is a pretty cool place. And it's like, there's also more stuff going on than I realized. Speaking of which, a place that speaking of bars and restaurants being taken for granted, there's a local, I guess you call it brewery place that's right down the street from me.
Brew Pub?
Definitely took. No, I've never heard of that place. Brew Pub. Is that in Ferndale?
No, that's just another name of a bar.
Oh.
Or
I thought you were saying that was the name of the place. Yeah, there's a brew pub right down the street from me called the Ferndale Project. And even people at work have been like, oh, that place is great. You should check it out. And I'm like, yeah, I'll totally check it out. And I just never did.
It's really easy, though, Jared, when you live somewhere, and especially if you don't picture yourself moving out of there, to...
Like, I'll get to it.
Exactly.
I'll get to it.
Exactly. Yeah. I had a really nice conversation with one of my really good German buddies, and he showed me around a lot of Mayan. Shout out to my buddy David. He showed me around a lot of places, and we kind of came to the same conclusion when we were driving around the Eifel in Germany, that, you know, a lot of times if you live there, this was the first time for him to go to some of these places, and you know he had lived there for quite a while. So so I completely agree with you, Jared, 100%, without a doubt.
I thought about that when I was in Philadelphia too. It's like, how is it that I've lived here for, you know, however many years,
right?
And when a friend visits, I'm still like, oh, I don't know what to show them.
Right.
It's like, oh no, you're only in one of the greatest cities in the United States. Why were there's nothing to do, I'm sure. Yeah. So yeah, I definitely took that place for granted, and I actually since this quarantine, they have a great curbside setup. So,
cool.
In a great online ordering system. So it's easy for me to literally order it and then immediately just go get it.
Right.
And so every maybe week or two, I'll get like a 6-pack or something. And they do actually sell more than just like beer and booze and stuff. It's like a local sort of place.
Cool.
And so they also sell this great cold brew. A coffee in a can.
Ooh, nice.
So sometimes I'll get a 4-pack of those and then like a 6-pack of some beer or something. And I'm like this. And I also, another part of that taking my neighborhood for granted, it feels good shop. Not that I do this exclusively, but it feels good shopping at
Shopping
local places. Yeah,
for sure.
And like checking out these local places and doing all that stuff local. And I'll tell you something that another one I have for you. I guess I don't know. Did I take it for granted? But I'm starting to really hate my Amazon and my reliance on Amazon.
Okay.
Especially now that I hear Jeff Bezos is bumping up on becoming a trillionaire.
Yeah, that's so crazy. It's unreal.
I'm like, there's no reason for me to be using Amazon as much as I do. And actually, my partner gave me a great idea the other day.
Just order directly from the websites?
Yeah. She said that look at the seller on Amazon and look up that seller and find the seller.
Yeah. I've done that a couple times actually.
And that would make me feel a lot better, especially because, like, I mean, I don't know how Amazon works, but I saw on Twitter
you hear a lot of negative things.
I mean, like, I don't know how they work as far as like how much you have to pay to put your product on Amazon.
Oh, they get
how much
cut
like
for
the
sure.
profit. Well, I know they do, but like I don't know how profitable it is for them. Like, how much are you making if I go straight to your site versus if you put it through Amazon?
Right.
Because you're obviously losing a little bit,
Right.
but I'm just curious.
Well, I know restaurants from Grubhub have lost quite a bit.
That's why I was about to say. That's why I was bringing it up, because I've seen those bills that they weirdly in a weirdly sort of selfish way, it makes me feel good because as an orderer from these websites, it's like, oh, those fees that come out of nowhere, because there's all the memes and jokes about how it's like meal $23, delivery fee $4, total $99.
Right.
And it's like, oh, it's interesting. It's not good to know, but it's interesting to see.
I will also say this
too.
though too, and this might be kind of a convoluted statement here, but a lot of places I've seen like people online being like, oh, don't order from Grubhub, order from the store, which I think is fine. But here's the thing. A lot of places that I've seen on Grubhub, they'll deliver on Grubhub, but the stores won't deliver.
Yeah.
So, it's like it's tricky,
So it's like, well, yeah, I agree with you, and it's like, so is it like it's still better for me to support this place in general, right?
Right.
Like, it's still better for me to buy something than nothing. I would
in
imagine.
theory, I would think, yeah, for sure.
So I've seen that too.
Another thing.
So I think I would like to try to wean off of Amazon a little bit.
That's not a bad idea.
I'm not going to be perfect, I know, but I would like to wean off of it a little bit.
I mean, I didn't use Amazon once while I was in China. So there you go, Jared. And in the Czech Republic.
Overlords wouldn't let you.
Yep, didn't use it in the Czech Republic either. But yeah. One thing I really miss though too, Jared, kind of going back off of that, is definitely visiting local shops. Now, I really wish I would have visited Elderly Instruments, my favorite guitar shop in Michigan, before all this happened. Because I got back in February, end of February, before, as we say in the States, before the shit hit the fan. But after coming from China, I kind of knew that some bad things might come. But I think just the idea of going into a store, but it's weird how this pandemic has changed my thinking. Maybe it has for yours as well a bit, Jared. Just the fact of like me as like a guitar player going into a guitar shop, or even going into like a clothing store, you think of how many people touch that stuff, how many people have tried on that shirt before you tried it on. It makes me think twice a little bit. I've never been a germaphobe. I'm not a super dirty guy, I don't think, but But at the same time, it does make you change your perspective on things a little bit, I would say, when you have something like this happening.
For sure, it definitely it made me think. It's definitely made me wonder, why do I have so many clothes? I wear like 5 things.
Right.
Like, I cycle through the same shirts and pants. And when I can wear literally whatever I want, it really puts that into perspective. I've actually, just in the past couple days, just started going back to another thing that I used to do at the beginning of this that I don't really do anymore, but I'm trying to get back into it, is wearing real clothes. I've just started going back to making sure I actually put on real pants and not just wearing sweatpants all day. I kind of got out of that habit for a while, and actually putting on real shoes.
Right.
There's something to that psychologically for me.
Oh, for sure. Which leads me to another thing that I definitely took for granted, which was just getting dressed up nicely and going out somewhere. Whether it was a nice dinner, drink somewhere, a formal evening, doing something. I've even had the crazy idea of like suiting up and like having like a fancy Zoom call or Skype call with friends or something,
We've said we're going to do a fancy dinner here, but we haven't done it.
Right.
But we've definitely talked about that.
I better see some pictures if you do.
I probably should. Yeah, no, I'm with you on that. Along with that, I think something I'd really take for granted is compliments.
Oh,
I take that for granted.
Okay,
to
let's
the point,
hear why.
I hate. Well, you made me think about that with the clothes thing. It's like, and I talked about how I'm going to stunt on these hoes on the first week back,
Right.
And I stand by that. Usually, I don't like getting compliments. Really, it's like I was like, I don't need it. I don't need these compliments. But when you like, there is something to getting talked up. Getting it feels good, and you take it for granted.
I need to be more of your hype man the next episode. That's for sure.
No.
Give Jared 80 different compliments. Watch him squirm the whole time.
Yeah, please don't.
But I think I just think basic human interactions right now, I'm kind of lacking. Just
I miss
even
love.
Right. The other thing too, man, is this has also changed. I think how a lot of people view others and like distance, shaking hands, hugging, all that stuff, and I wonder how long it's going to take for people to not kind of side eye each other if somebody coughs or what I mean?
It's interesting because I agree with you, but I think we're all like I agree with you because that's going to be a lot of society, but then I think there's also a good portion of society that already is not concerned about that.
Right?
I think you might be. We've talked a lot about how humans are idiots.
Yes.
I think
yes.
I feel like meaning you and I, might be surprised at how quickly humanity bounces back from this.
Actually, I wanted to mention that today. The same exact thing, because I think we're going to forget this really fast, unfortunately. I would agree.
Yeah. To our detriment. We're going to have another one come in 10 years or whatever. People will be like, what is this?
I really hope, though, that some people will come out of this smarter, more caring, with more empathy for one another. I also really feel...
I'll say this. I like to think that for a while, for a good bit, I'm going to be more aware of my hygiene and my waste. Not my body waste, but actually my body waste too. The bidet's been amazing.
Your garbage.
And
nice.
But garbage and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I have another one for you.
Okay, let's hear
it. Something I took for granted and something I also miss, weirdly, is driving. I miss...
Okay.
I'm a car person. I enjoy cars in general. And I took for granted driving. So this has made me realize how much, first of all, I take it for granted because I'm starting to realize how much it costs when I'm not using it. I start to pay more attention to those insurance prices and be like, oh, I'm not even driving and I'm still paying this. And I also start to realize how much I'm saving by not getting gas. I haven't gotten gas once since this thing started because I have a plug-in hybrid. And I can go 50 miles on electricity without having to use gas. So I can go essentially everywhere I would need to go and never use gas.
Right.
And it just makes me think I don't know. It makes me think different as a car person. It makes me. It's like, oh, this definitely makes me like electric cars more, and be like, I starting to see it more. But also, since this has started, it's funny. I have a plug-in hybrid, and I also have a not old, but a standard internal combustion car. And at the beginning of this thing, I didn't drive at all, and my plug-in hybrid the battery died, and I had to use my other car to jump that car.
Good thing you got two rides, dog.
I guess, but it's like it's so weird. Now it makes me think if shit really hit the fan, could I rely on an electric car? Because here it is, me using this old dinosaur juice car to save this electric car. They've both been sitting for the same amount of time.
Right. Got to somehow get some solar panels that keep your battery charged. Yeah, you're good to go.
Well, actually, it's not a bad. I mean, yeah, that's actually not a bad idea.
But yeah,
but I do take driving for granted, and also just because I enjoy it. It's very. It's
me too.
Sometimes it's seen as a leisurely activity for me personally. And I miss that. And sometimes now when I go to the grocery store, I'm going to admit it. I take I might take a long way.
Yeah, I've done that too. Another thing that I think I definitely took for granted was outside activities. Things like I feel like even going for a walk nowadays, like people still give you looks. You might still get looks depending on if you're wearing a mask or not. All sorts of different stuff, you know.
Well, I think people in my area are cool with the walking.
Okay,
and they don't. I feel like people don't really expect masks in public, or at least around me, I don't get that vibe.
Okay, good.
But there is still the thing of, you know, people crossing the street, you know, if you're walking on the same side of the street. And that is both obviously an understood thing, but also it is sort of
a little weird, awkward,
weird feeling thing where it's like, I get why you're doing it, but why am I still for some reason slightly offended?
And I also really miss like soccer and tennis. And I got a text message actually from some of my friends I used to play with in East Lansing, and I guess they're playing again. They invited me to come play, and one, I'm not going to drive an hour there and an hour back. But I thought about it, and I'm like,
you can't get any, as we're talking about with the soccer games, like you're like that's about as much contact as you can get.
Yep. And here's the thing: I think if tests in the States right now were very easily accessible and we knew they were accurate, if I could test myself and if I knew I didn't have it or if I had it and recovered from it, then sure. I would probably be okay.
Yeah, of course. But if that was the case, we wouldn't currently be in a pandemic, you know?
Also true.
That would kind of solve the pandemic.
Right. Well, and see, that's the thing. I think a lot of Americans don't understand that if we want to get out of this with less bodies in the ground, with less people who pass away, we need to do testing and contact tracing. You know, and until that happens, either we're going to need a vaccine or everybody's going to have to get infected. Or 60 to 70% of the population.
I don't know the full story, but I do know that Apple came out with a software update that's supposed to help with contact tracing. But I just happened to see a headline like means,
but yeah, right.
What do you mean?
Like I don't know how they do it. I don't even know what that means.
Yeah. I'm in no place to talk about it. I literally saw a headline before we started recording. I was just flipping through Twitter.
Right.
So yeah, I can't really. I don't know why I brought that up anyway. Right. So I definitely miss driving. You know, in a weird way, I miss. I miss.
Come on, say it, Jared.
I took The Office for granted.
Okay.
Even before going to the office for granted or going to a physical place for granted, even before this pandemic was a thing, you know, I always kind of had in my head that like I've always had a job, and a lot of us have always had a job that we can do from home, and like we don't need to go to this office, and that's true.
Right.
But being in the office is definitely easy in certain terms, especially for someone like me. Like I'm not great at asking questions. I'm not great at asking for help.
Debatable.
And
about the questions. Debatable.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. Yeah. Well, I also know not to ask you for help. But when I'm actually at my paying job, like I'm already bad at that.
Hey, and I pay you in compliments, Jared.
That's true. So being at work not being at work adds another barrier for me. Where it's like, well, now I got to either message someone or call them, or it's just another layer kind of stopping me from asking when I'm already not good at it. And at least when I wasn't good at it, my boss was right behind me, so I could be like, all right, he's right there.
Just turn around and ask him. Yeah.
And now I'm like, oh, I got to text him or call him or whatever. And
seems like more of an inconvenience.
Another step
for sure.
Yeah. You know,
I don't think I really...
But we're at work, though, so I guess I shouldn't feel... Like, calling him is no different than when I turn around at the office. And
that's a good point. Well, I think that's the thing, is as things have changed and as they will continue to change in the future, I think we need to alter our perspective a little bit on some of these things, and that would be one of them. For me, you know, it's been really difficult being outside of the classroom. You know, I was thinking about it today, Jared, and I haven't stepped foot inside of a classroom in 2020. Not once.
Wow.
And it makes me sad to say that as a teacher, you know, because of Chinese New Year. I was done before New Year's. I was done the last week of December. The last week of December was the last time I was in a classroom. I don't think I took it for granted. I always loved being in the classroom and working with my students, but I definitely
didn't realize
miss
it would be your last.
Right, last for a while. Yeah, could be. Who knows if
forever,
if other places follow suit with Oxford, it could be till summer 2021. I've been doing some online teaching, and I do still like working with my students, but it's just not the same. And it's not the same as well because. When you're in the classroom, I think students, similar to what you said, Jared, my students were much more prone to ask me questions. Whereas now as I've been teaching online, I mean, granted the content has been different because the students have been very different, but still, it's just not the same. It really is.
But I mean, you've talked when you were in China. You talked a lot, at least at the beginning, about how in general they're not as prone to jump up and respond And imagine if you were teaching those students virtually.
Right.
Imagine how hard it would be to get them to talk, to respond and to interact. If there's that barrier as well.
Sure.
And so I can only imagine if you were. Whether you went into it in the middle, I mean, it's probably even harder if you start with, if you don't even get to meet these people in person to begin with.
Yeah. It's definitely very different, that's for sure. But as I've mentioned, I mean, I really hope that a lot of people, myself and you included, can really reflect as things begin to hopefully get back to normal in the future. I mean, yes, it will be a new normal. And I think, unfortunately, yes, a lot of people will very quickly embrace things as they start to get back to normal and forget a lot of the things that we have put in place. Unfortunately and fortunately, though, because I think there is not. I don't think there's anything positive to for quote unquote forgetting the past. But I think there is something positive to. I don't want to totally look down upon one like human nature to want to return to normal, because I think that's what we want right now. That's for sure.
It's because as much as we look at these idiots that are protesting or talking about how, well, listen, I need to go to Jeep Fest. How could I miss out on Jeep? That was literally something that happened. There was Jeep Fest happening. I don't remember where it was, but they're like, how could I miss out on Jeep Fest? And it's like, I'm sure you could figure out a way to miss out on Jeep Fest, but. I think they're like, as much as we need the people that are like, listen, I'm gonna physically distance myself. I'm gonna stay home as much as possible. I'm not gonna hang out with friends just because I'm lonely, because I realize that what I'm doing for the greater good or whatever it is. But I think like we do need people that are also like,
you're right, yeah.
Like we do need people. We do need the brave idiots to be like, listen, F you guys, I'm going back to work because eventually, or I'm going back to play because eventually we will have to go back. And I think there is something to like one's nature to be like, we need to get back to whatever quote unquote normal is. I don't know.
Right.
The world's falling apart all around us, regardless of the pandemic. But I understand. The ignorance.
Right. That's true.
More ignorance. We need more ignorance, is what I'm saying.
Oh, that's Jared's words, not mine, people. Well, Jared, as the world falls apart, seemingly, there's one thing I've been doing to keep me grounded, keep me calm, and that has been listening to some good tunes. And we definitely have a special one for you today. The tune is by, I believe he's Japanese, a Japanese guitarist named Nito. The song is called By Your Side and it is featuring the vocalist, I believe it's pronounced Genger, but it could be Ganger, I'm not sure. And tell us, Jared, what are your thoughts on this tune today?
Well, it's interesting because it's a long song. It's 11 minutes, but it feels...
Wait. 11 minutes.
Oh, did I listen to the wrong song?
I don't think you listened to the right one. The one I have is 3 minutes and 19 seconds.
Tell me about the song then, Cho.
Okay. Really?
Oh, I listened to the wrong one.
Which song did you listen to?
What I listened to was... Oh, wait. Okay, now I got to find it.
Weren't you... You were literally playing it before we started the episode, weren't
Nito...
you?
Oh, I listened to Journey.
What?
Which I think... It's what I was playing for you when we first started was called Journey.
Really?
And it's 11 minutes long.
Okay.
And I feel like Journey might have included I haven't heard what you sent me.
Okay.
But I feel like it might have included. Oh, there it was. It might have included. It might be included in Journey.
Okay. Huh.
So I heard the 11-minute version, which is called Journey.
Okay.
And I think maybe it's broken up because what I heard, and that's why I said what I heard sounds like multiple different songs, because I think it is multiple different songs.
It probably is. That might be. Yeah. So Journey, I think, is the EP.
Oh, so I listened to the whole EP.
Yeah, it's the EP. Or it's a couple songs.
I can still tell you about the song.
Yeah.
I don't remember exactly which song. Obviously, is our song of the pod, but I'll tell you about what I thought of in general. I thought this worked with. I felt this way about the whole thing.
Okay.
I felt as I was listening to the whole EP, I felt like it would be great. It's a great track for a hip hop song.
Yeah.
Yeah. It seems like a great what do you call it? Sample. It seems like a great for a sample, and it has its own merits. Let's be clear. It's not just some sort of chintzy beat or something, but it just feels it. I don't know. It because once again now I'm explaining it based off of the whole thing I listened to. I listened to the whole thing, and you can very much hear like there's a story trying to be told through the thing through like the music. You can sort of hear. And so I don't know. I just imagine a bunch of rappers that I thought would be great to rap over the song. It's very intricate. It's both simple, like it flows very simply, but then he adds like these
little ornamentations. He's tapping on guitar is what he's actually doing.
Yeah, ornamentations. That's a great word.
Is. Yeah, and I'll tell you, Jared. There's a few reasons why I picked the song. Number one. Ichikanito is a YouTuber as well, does a bunch of guitar videos, and I came across him because he does weird tunings. So a standard guitar is tuned E-A-D-G-B-E, right? But he will do all sorts of different tunings. So he did one tuning one time that was A-B-C-D-E. A-B-C-D-E-F. Sorry, A-B-C-D-E-F.
So he rearranges the strings.
Well, he tunes them differently. So you get completely different chords and sounds and stuff.
Gotcha.
He did one song that was super epic where he tuned all of the strings to E. So he had 6 of the same notes that were either higher or lower. And it was interesting to watch him play and do different stuff. So he's a very eclectic, kind of interesting guitar player.
I could definitely imagine why, as a guitar nerd like yourself, he would be a great YouTube follow. Because,
for sure.
I thought listening to those ornamentations, I thought they were very beautiful. But then, as a actual guitarist, I'm sure it would be very interesting to see like the fingering because it was very smooth.
It's fun to watch him,
but it was very controlled. And
great technique.
I can imagine that you could learn a lot from that.
Absolutely. So give them a listen on our YouTube channel, Untranslatable Podcast. You can check out Journey or I believe the song is Beside You.
It's the whole thing's only 11 minutes.
It's pretty good. All right, well, let's move on, Jared, to our foreign word of the pod. I'm still slowly and surely learning some Russian. You want to give this one a try, Jared?
Sure, why not? Give me 5 seconds, but yes, I would love to. By 5 seconds, I mean probably more than that because I'm talking and it still hasn't come up yet.
That is totally fine.
But I love trying to do these, and I feel like I'm getting
it's
better.
helpful for me too because it reinforces what the letters are and what the sounds are. So I can learn by teaching, Jared. Provro. Okay. Okay. So you got the first right. You got the first 3 letters right. That weird looking W is a sh sound.
So just to be clear, the pro that I got in my eyes is pi, P-O, and I got pro
yes.
right.
Oh, you got that right. You're starting to learn Cyrillic.
I my soundboard up for that.
Yep, you're starting to learn Cyrillic. Good work, buddy.
Wow.
So that next sound though is a sh.
Oh, prosh.
And then that
prosh.
And then that next letter is an L.
Proshlo.
You're very close. So I'll say it now. So it's proshloya. And proshloya means
so the O and E. It's not O. That's another sort of English thing that I did in my head. Those are 2 different sounds.
It means, and this word, Jared, proshloya means past. Because I figured we were going to be reminiscing today a little bit about the past. So proshloya. Yeah, Russian. Jared, I think a lot of people give Russian a bad rap. I think it's actually a really cool language. Has some interesting sounds.
Yeah.
And a lot of Russians. There's a lot of great Russian authors and poets out there.
I think it gets a bad rap. That's true. I think it gets a bad rap because a lot of
live in America.
No, because a lot of people our age aren't afraid of the Cold War and stuff like that.
That's true.
But I think because a lot of our representation of Russians tends to be through video games and spy movies.
Right.
So they're always
they're always the bad guys. They're always these badass
they're
villains.
always these scary dudes that are trying to destroy America.
My name is Igor, and I'm here to destroy you.
Yeah. It's always someone with a deep, slow, quiet voice. It's like, why can't no one talks normal there? They're all just like scary and quiet.
You cannot hide.
No one's happy in Russia.
Come for you. Yeah. It's something else. But it's a beautiful language. It has its difficulties in learning it. Obviously, a big hurdle is learning the Cyrillic. But you're doing a great job, Jared. I'm still struggling with it too.
Man.
Spasibo. I feel like a kid when I'm trying to read Russian stuff because I have to sound out every letter. There are certain words now that I see and I can recognize like that now, which is really reassuring. But there's still a lot of words where I see and I'm like, how do I say that?
It really forces you to slow down and pay attention.
Yep.
Like I feel like even in like Spanish or French or something, if you or I were to learn that,
right,
we wouldn't be paying as close of attention to what we're learning probably, just because you don't have to relearn everything.
And Jared, I think slowing down and paying attention is a great way to recap today's episode as well.
Yeah,
because there's just so much that has changed since we have gone down in lockdown. Lockdown isn't going to be permanent, but I hope when we come out of it, people will really not take things for granted, will really cherish the time they're able to spend with their friends and their family, going shopping, playing outside. But until we get to that point, people, please be safe out there. Please take precautions. Even though a lot of states in the U.S., this is more to our U.S. listening base right now, but even though a lot of states are opening right now,
I mean, Germany is opening.
Right.
Sweden's
been open for a while.
Thing.
Right.
Yeah, Sweden hasn't closed.
Right.
Denmark, I saw, was opening.
Right. But I think
a lot of European countries are opening, too.
I think just because things are opening doesn't mean that things are back to normal and that this virus is not here. It's still here. It's still a threat. Please be careful, people. We want you to be able to enjoy not only this podcast, but your lives as well.
But mostly this podcast.
Exactly. So just to recap today's episode, we definitely miss, at least I personally miss a lot of the social stuff, going to the bar with our buddies to grab a drink. As Jared mentioned, going out to eat at restaurants too. There's so many things that we definitely took for granted, and hopefully we won't coming, out of this in the future. So
one can hope.
Right. So
that's adorable.
So enjoy your drinks in the future, people. Enjoy your friends and your family, and really cherish the moment. That's for sure.
Yeah.
And we hope you've been cherishing the Untranslatable podcast, and let us know what we can do to make this podcast even easier to cherish at untranslatablepodcast@gmail.com. Also, you can check out our pictures of all sorts of different shenanigans on Instagram, Untranslatable Podcast. You can check out Jared enjoying his tortilla chips on YouTube, Untranslatable Podcast. We're not sponsored by Tostitos, but hit us up, Tostitos, if you're listening right now.
These are not Tostitos. How dare you?
Don't hit us up, Tostitos. We're just joking.
I mean, you can hit us up, but these are not Tostitos.
But yeah, and lastly, please, 5-star reviews on iTunes and Stitcher. Let us know how we can make this podcast better for you. So as we say here at the Untranslatable Podcast, dziękujemy, muchas gracias, shisha, and do svidania. That is correct, my friend. Welcome to Untranslatable Podcast, best podcast in the whole world. It is the #1 podcast for you to get the best untranslatable phrases every Monday, every Thursday, here for you. We are here, rain, sleet, and snow. It does not matter. We come here. We do not stop. You will not stop. And let's enjoy these untranslatables today, Jared.